Since ancient times, this ocean has been linking communities as vessels sail to and from the Arabian Peninsula, the Persian Gulf, India and China. Using monsoon winds during those days, sailors navigated their dhows and docked either to load or offload consignments at various ports along the shores of the Indian Ocean.
Neno ambalo latumika sasa kwa bahari hii yaitwa bahari ya Hindi kwa sababu ya uhusiano wake na India. Lakini na likuja neno hili baada ya wageni kuja huko hasa Waingereza ndio waliita Indian Ocean. Lakini kwa asili nilivyosikia wazee mimi ni kwamba wasema jina lake ilikuwa kiitwa Ziwa Kuu.
There was no direct trade with China, but there was transshipment. So up to India or up to the Malacca Straits in what is now Malaysia. And there Chinese ships took over and gave China plates, silk, etc. And we gave ivory as a major aspect of Chinese culture and arts.
This body of liquid makes up about 20% of Earth's water. It borders Asia to the north, Antarctica to the south, Australia to the east, and the African continent to the west.
Kwa hakika bahari ni kiungo cha maisha yangu kwa miaka ya zaidi ya 1000 ama 2000 iliyopita.
Nitasikia uchungu ikiwa nitainuka asubuhi nione bahari imekauka ya Indian Ocean imekauka. Kwa sababu nitajua wazi wazi kifo changu ndo kinaanza.
You're in the middle of the ocean. The furthest island that I could spot, even when we left Bombay, was way up. I said, could I swim from here to there without drowning? These were the thoughts going through my mind. So when I landed over here, that is when my journey in life began.
The ocean is in itself broad, full of unknown potentials. It has hidden secrets.
I think it's the single most powerful source of energy probably on the planet, is the movement of the oceans. It's the energy that drives, that drives everything.
Wazami wa uzivani wa mavimbi na miuya, muzamao zizimbwini mahodari wakowea, kwa kuwama na kwa tani kubenua zenuzia, na uza changu kimia kichatia chashikani.
Social behavior and norms in a particular society are referred to as culture, a way of life that includes language, religion, attire and cuisine.
Tulikuwa tukijulikana kama Wangozi. Kitarehe kwamba tuna zaidi ya miaka 2000 toka wakati wa Nabii Isa alayhi salam.
It is typically a Bantu language which is not mixed up with any other language.
Kuja kubadilika kwao kutoka Wangozi kuja Waswahili ni Muhammad ibn Batuta, mpelelezi au mchunguzi wa lugha za bara la Afrika. Alipotoka zake Morocco kwenda Maka kwenda kuhiji, akateremka katika mji wa Mogadishu. Alipoteremka katika mji wa Mogadishu ndio akafunga safari, asema nikaingia ndani ya chombo cha maji kwa muda wa siku moja hadi katika nchi ya Waswahili, ambao sasa yeye badala kuwaita Wangozi akawaita Waswahili, ahli sihr.
Mkuu Mahmud Vai Isa Athman. Yeah.
Mkuu and Vai are not Arabic names.
No.
Kale, Famau, Shosi, Mbwarahaji, Unaona, Mbwarakupi, Mbwaravae, Lame, ushafahamu majina si ya Kiarabu haya.
So many scholars believe Swahili as a language is a combination of so many borrowed words from other foreign languages, including Arab, Portuguese, for instance, and other foreign languages. But that's not the case.
Swahili language has about 24 dialects. And although Lamu is like the land of Swahili civilization and language, but you find that within Lamu archipelago, you find that there are different Swahili dialects spoken by the people found there.
Kiswahili, as it is known today, has been spoken throughout the East African coast for centuries, even before the coming of the Arabs.
That's why I like to write even my emails, my phone, it reads Mkuvai. Natoa Mahmud. Kwa sababu inanijulisha mimi ni nani.
Hawa Wangozi ni watu ambao walikuwa wakitumia ngozi kwa mavazi yao, wakitumia ngozi katika kupima ardhi zile. Walikuwa wakiitwa Wangozi hawa wakitumia lugha ya Kingozi. Na lugha hii ya Kingozi tumeweza kuyapata maneno yake mpaka kufikia wakati wa karne ya 17.
Sana tunakula kama mahamri, bajia, viazi, chapati, kuna wali wa pilau, kuna na biriani.
Mswahili kutoka asubuhi, mchana na usiku anakula chakula cha Kihindi. Na kile kwa mfano chakula vya nafaka ambavyo kwamba vimekuwa vya Kiafrika kwa miaka mingi, utaona mapishi pia yanapikwa kwa mipangilio ya Kihindi.
This is one of the several ruins of Swahili settlements that dotted the East African shores. Those who lived here were mainly traders, and these are remnants of their dwellings, structures that were gradually improved over time as the residents interacted with various communities, thanks to the Indian Ocean waters.
Waturki walikuja, Wafursi walikuja, Machina walikuja, Wahindi walikuja. Ina maana kwamba kulingamana na ile athari pia ule utengenezaji wa ubunishaji, utakuta kwamba huku kwetu utakuta watu walikuwa ni wajenzi na wavumbuaji vitu wakati ule.
Here we are in the palace. A pot is to be placed here, and then it has a lid and a cup for them to have it whenever they need water. This residential of the king is built in what today we call a bed-sitter system, that each bedroom, it has its own washroom. Today we are building our houses in that style. This palace was built back in early 15th century.
The 16th century was the beginning of the decline of the Swahili dynasty. In an effort to take over the flourishing maritime trade routes, different forces started to use the ocean to influence the leadership of city-states along the east coast of Africa. This was done to brew conflicts or even upscale rivalry between local leaders.
In any given place had its own government. Normally, there was a council of elders, and the council of elders will appoint or will elect among themselves one person who will rule for a period of 3 years.
Pate town at that time, they had succeeded to conquer so many towns, including Manda. At that time, for that reason, they considered Lamu as part of their realm. That in conquering Lamu, it could make them a more powerful town, the Swahili city-state. So they invited the Mombasa people at that time, the Mazrois, to come and assist them to conquer Lamu.
A nation could come and hit Malindi, and Mombasa would rejoice. Or Malindi would hit Lamu, and Kilwa would rejoice.
The city-states began to be attacked by the Portuguese or began to be in alliance with the Portuguese, and slowly the city-states disappeared.
Mavuno unaopata si mali yako. Wewe fanya kazi tu ya mavuno, utapewa chako tu chakula, kilichobakia ni cha mreno.
Wazee walifika wakati wakawa washachoka, lakini wakapata habari kuwa kuna wenzao Waislamu wenzao walipambana naye sana huyo, wakaona watoke wende wakatafute msaada kule, na nchi yenyewe ikawa ni Oman. Kwa hivyo wakatoka mwaka 1660 kukaja wa Omani sasa, wakiwemo Wabulushi, jemadari Shahadat Chota na Tangai, alafu Mazrui wakaletwa kama askari, Basami, Maamiri, Shikeli, mpaka Wanubi wakaletwa kusaidia wenyeji waondoe Wareno.
Baada ya vita vya miaka 5 wakaondolewa. Baada ya kuondolewa, Mazrui Arabs walipokuangalia hii sehemu, utamu wake wa kiuchumi, na kwa vile watu waliokuwa hapa pia ni Waislamu, wanakubaliana wao katika mila na desturi, wakaona hapa ndi mahali pa kuja kukaa.
In 1886, the East African coast attracted more Europeans, and the British East Africa Company landed on an island which is now called Mombasa. This they did to set up infrastructure to allow trade exploitation further inland. One of the company's main agenda was to construct a railway network to link interior Africa with the Indian Ocean, from where raw materials such as minerals and agricultural produce were shipped to Europe for processing.
There were no machines to lay tracks. Everything, leveling the land, filling in the holes or building the embankments, all of it had to be done by hand.
Named after the ultimate destination, the construction of the Uganda Railway started in Mombasa and was mainly done by indentured laborers from India, mainly due to lack of a local labor force.
Originally, it was with wood, and my grandfather drove it on wood as a fireman, and then later oil. This is what will start the steam. There's a boiler there, water is poured in, the fire is here.
Jhelum is the river which gave birth to my great-grandfather. He was born on the banks of Jhelum. My husband is French. He started asking me questions. Who are you? After marriage, he's asking me, who are you? On the eve of independence, 180,000 Asians, most of whom lived in urban centers, calculated their gains and losses. Decisions had to be made fast. Or should we choose the British passport? It's the story of an ordinary family. When they came across the ocean, they not only brought the different languages and cultures, and they even brought theatre. And they brought Shakespeare. We must remember that when Kenya was governed by the British, we were governed from Bombay. We were not governed from London. We had the Indian Penal Code. We had the rupee as currency. I have some beautiful pictures of my grandfather. Here he's acting as Hamlet with the sash and the swords and things like that.
People don't leave homes where they're happy or they're comfortable. They leave to find a better way of life. And I think the Indians who left came here looking for a better way of life.
When I started reading about the history of Kenya, I found that the history is from a very British colonial point of view. There was very little, if anything, on the story of the Indians in Kenya.
When we were in Delhi walking around, he says, Kuldeep, don't you feel that you belong here? Quite frankly, I don't. I feel nothing. Though I'm an Indian, I don't feel that I belong here, I belong there.
Immediately we go to India, they recognize us as outsiders. They can sense it from the way we speak, from the way we dress. Because our language, even if we speak Hindustani, we have a trace of an accent, which is very different. When we speak English, it's a different English from the way the Indians speak English. And then, of course, we have the nodding of the head and all that kind of a thing in India, which we seem to have lost here.
This is Taarab music being performed by Zanzibari-based Siti and the band. Taarab, a blend of various cultures and instruments from the Indian Ocean communities, is popular not only with coastal communities in the Great Lakes region of Africa, but also with Swahili speakers the world over.
Siti and the band tumetokea katika chuo pekee Zanzibar kinachoitwa DCMA, Tau Country Music Academy. Na hicho chuo unakikuta lengo lake ni kutunza utamaduni hasa.
Siti Amina is currently leading this group, infusing traditional Taarab with modernity. While singing, one gets the feel of traditional tunes such as chakacha and rumba.
Mimi nachopenda kwa Zanzibar sana ni kwamba watu wameweza kuishi kwa pamoja kwa amani. Utamaduni umechanganywa. Tukiangalia chakula, tukiangalia muziki, tukiangalia hata lugha. Tukichambua zaidi upande wa muziki, na hasa tukiangalia kwa mfano Siti and the band, wanatumia ala za kiasili ya Zanzibar, lakini asili yake hasa ni Uarabuni na Hindi.
As much as the Indian Ocean connected communities, these waters also facilitated movement of people without their consent.
Ndani ya shimo hili kuna vitu kama vile vipande vya chuma na vilivyopachukwa kwa ukuta, chain zile ambazo zilibakia hapa miaka hiyo ya karne ya 16 hadi 18 wakati watumwa walikuwa naiko hapa.
This is Mzee Demla, named after his great-grandfather who was rescued from aboard a slave ship that was sailing off the coast of East Africa during the Indian Ocean slave trade.
Jina lake alikuwa anajulikana kama Reverend James Rosen Demla.
James Rosen Demla was the name given to Mzee Demla's ancestor, who was held captive in Nyasaland, a country that is now known as Malawi. After his rescue, the senior Demla was handed over to Christian missionaries who, together with the rest of the ex-slaves, were sent to Bombay, India for training.
Wakawa full priests, wakawa mafundi.
Sometime in 1896, 6 of those who had traveled to India returned to Mombasa to assist in the rehabilitation of thousands of their colleagues who had also been freed. They were called Bombay Africans.
Alfred Robert Tucker, the 3rd Bishop of Eastern Equatorial Africa, 1890 to 1899. He ordained William Jones and Ishmael Semler as priests in 1896. Made Reverend James Demla deacon the same year.
Now a retired priest living in Rabai, some 35 kilometers northwest of Mombasa, at 72, Mzee Demla has embarked on a journey to revisit his past.
The dream that somebody had in mind is being fulfilled. And being fulfilled is bearing fruits so that others can partake.
As we know, there are currents and undercurrents of linkages and exchanges, demographic, cultural, economic, political, ideological, and diasporic between India and Africa. And in this context, the role of trans-regional Afrasian entanglements is important in understanding the present dynamics and future perspectives of India-Africa relations.
I think we all share a great interest in the contours of a changing world, an increasingly multipolar world, and a world where I think all regions and countries have to start redefining themselves.
Well, it's lovely. We have people from 4 continents, from America, from Europe, from Africa, from India. And these are people who've been working in this area for a number of years. So rich scholarship and an inter-exchange of interdisciplinary, whole wide range of topics that are going to be.
After the forbidding of slaves by Hamilton Treaty, and in 1859, British Navy ship carrying liberated Africans set anchor at Bombay Harbour. A group of 57 freed African slaves had been admitted in India orphanage at the Nasik school. This is the closest I could come, tracing my ancestors' stepping. Spoil your work, Lord. Please come down. As you use this place to train our people to come to Africa so that we may know. We thank you, Lord, because you did it, and we shall continue. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
This is a ship docking at Mombasa in present-day Kenya. Unlike in the ancient times, when wooden dhow sailed in with consignments of salt, spices, dried fish, fabrics and ornaments among other commodities, this time round, huge steel vessels dock to offload tons of already manufactured products. This is a clear indication that the Indian Ocean is still a force to reckon with, as the salty waters continue to facilitate movement of people and goods, just as has been the case from time immemorial.
Identity is not a fixed thing, it's a journey. Identity changes every day. My having written the book has changed me as a person. My sitting here with you, talking about my identity changes me every time I speak about it. Identity is just not a fixed entity. You know, it grows, it evolves. And having come here through these 4 generations, we have changed tremendously.
Memories, traditions, and values moved as well with those people. What is now something to draw on, either as an inspiration or as a historical record, is what came. What are these memories? What are the traditions and values? Have these people sustained them, carried them on?
When I refused the top job given to me in India, the Prime Minister Nehru called me back. At this time there was no great smile on his face. He said, I hear you're leaving us. You don't want the job that's been offered to you. I said, I don't feel like for it. He said, okay, I understand. Make me one promise. Yes, sir. And when you go back, you will work and do everything you can for the African, not for the British, for the African. So I think in my own small way, this is what I have done. I have hotels in which I've given a lot of employment to a lot of people. All my life I've done that.
Wageni huya, huya wageni, wakahuji hapa, hapa nyingine, mambo nyingine, hii yumba nyane.
The biggest challenge facing the lack of information, especially among the Swahilis, is that very little has been documented. And what has been documented is not in the hands of the Swahili. So the history of the local people was not written by the locals themselves, but written by foreigners in their own perspective.
In my heart, there is a voice that is talking like Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream.
I am, if you like, a man of the future. I am a man of the future. That's what I feel.